You can already tell what this video is from the title. I am in 2029, so I've been doing 7 years of drafts so far, or 6, I guess, and I'm trying to get a generational player to do a generational player video, and I finally get one, and of course, it's a receiver, Terrence Gaffney, who's an 85 overall, with a temporary boost is playing up to an 87 just after the draft. And of course, I've already done a generational receiver video with Reggie Knight already on the channel. So gonna have to keep looking. That's fun. Is 2031. And finally, there is actually a generational player in the draft, and it is a running back. Also, I learned something today. I asked around, and generational is interesting. There is a bigger range than I expected. Apparently, it starts, depending on position and some other variables, it starts at 77 or 78, but there can be players above that range that are not generational. But again, there are a number of different variables. What qualifies a player as being generational is going above certain regular thresholds with certain attributes. So that's the definition. It's a little bit vague, but that's it. So a 78 overall quarterback with 99 speed or something close, that goes above the regular speed threshold for the generator, making them generational, even though their overall doesn't match what we'd expect a generational player to have. Regardless of that, though, George Talbot is generational. There are probably some other positions that we'll do over the course of this year with generational players that aren't as high of an overall, but we'll have to find out, why they are generational. And of course, they are guaranteed to have superstar X factor. So if you have superstar or below, no matter how good they are, they might be great, but they're not generational by the definition of the game. But let's get to George Talbot. 86 overall running back, and there were actually 2 80 pluses. Now, Eddie Bryant, I would say, is just at the high end of the regular tier generator. He doesn't have like any crazy attribute. So he's just a really good rookie to have, but you wouldn't say that he is generational. And does have superstar development, still good. But George Talbot is an 86 and is one of the more interesting running backs I've ever seen generated in Madden 23. 5'10", 226, kind of built like a bowling ball, but has 98 speed. Already, he's the 12th ranked running back in the NFL here in 2031, putting him in the top 6% of halfbacks. He's got 93 break tackle with 98 speed. 97 acceleration, agility's a 90, which is pretty good. Carrying's an 88. There are some morale things going on. His ball carrier vision's not that good at a 79. 83 trucking, 89 stiff arm, 90 juke with only 80 spin move, 91 change of direction. Strength is pretty good at a 73. Not much of a receiver, only 64 catching, but it's just the combination of break tackle and speed and stiff arm and trucking, kind of insane. George Talbot looks like a freak. I'll tell you what, inflation right now, not so good. I'm sure you've noticed it if you ever go out to eat, but especially every time I go to the gas pump, man, it seems like the prices are higher and higher. That's where the sponsor of today's video, Upside, comes in. It's a great app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or goes out to eat, which is probably like everybody. You have to either buy groceries or go out to eat. How else are you gonna eat? What, are you growing it yourself? The app really isn't even difficult to use at all. All you have to do to get started is download the free Upside app. It's in the App Store if you're on iPhone. It's in the Google Play Store, whatever, if you're on Android. And when you use my promo code BENGAL, you get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. This works so great with gas. All you have to do is claim the offer for whatever you're buying on Upside, really. You check in with that business and pay as usual with a credit or debit card and get paid. And in comparison to other credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. And cash out anytime with your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card. Amazon, other brands, a million different ways you can do it. And in total, Upside users are earning more than $1 million every single week. And that's probably why it has a 4.8 star rating on the App Store. So my strategy is to claim every time I go to the gas station. And that way I'm making some money back when I give the gas station all my money. So download the free Upside app and use code BENGAL to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Thank you so much to Upside for sponsoring the video. So let me go ahead and switch over to the Giants here. so we can see George Talbot. But keep in mind, this is not a rebuild. I've talked about this in the previous video we did with the wide receiver generational pick. We're just seeing what happens. So we'll keep Brian Daboll and keep everything at auto. Gotta be very careful with this file too. I don't want to accidentally delete a Giants franchise. This one, of course, won't matter, but my actual Giants franchise series could have devastating results, or consequences, should I say, if I were to accidentally delete the file. I'll probably change teams before doing it, but as you may know, Madden caps you off at like, I think 20 franchise files, so you have to delete them. Oh, great game. This is the Giants team. Who is Lang? Who's this fella? Brian Lang. Not starting for some reason? Am I missing him somewhere in the offensive line? I didn't feel like I saw a superstar starting, period. Why would he not be in? He's still not going in. Why is he not? Move him to right tackle. Seems like we'll have a pretty good offensive line for him, though. It's not like George Talbot is not like an MVP name. Hopefully he ends up playing like one, though. We'll be the starting running back. Okay, 12-5 team. Not too bad for year one with a rookie running back. Obviously, running backs a little bit less impactful than they used to be. However, George Talbot is already going to be up to the low to mid 90s. Does, of course, have superstar X Factor. It is guaranteed with all generational players, and already he's looking pretty good. He's up to 99 speed, 99 acceleration. Change of direction is 93. Juke move 94. We're going to go ahead and upgrade power back for him. That boosts him up to a 96 overall with morale, taking awareness up by 4. Okay. It is pretty insane just how quickly, oh my goodness, how quickly a generational player can become one of the best players in the entire league. When we check it out, he is still the 6th ranked halfback in the league. Or actually, was he? I think he was 11th coming in, but top 6%. Now he's in the top 3%, getting better with every single game. He does have aggressive catch trait and run after catch trait, which is interesting. He's spontaneous. His motivations. He wants a mentor at the position. You are the guy. You don't need a mentor. No income tax. He is not staying with the Giants. He does not want to be here. He's like, I'm playing out my rookie deal and then I'm done. Scheme fit, vertical zone run. But I just don't think he cares. Let's give him Wrecking Ball, maybe? I always say this, but I just don't know how... I don't think any of these actually impact any simulation stats. We'll play with George Talbot eventually, though. We'll use him in game. Talbot, though, 268 attempts for 1,238 yards. But the thing that stands out clearly is the 24 rushing touchdowns. Surely a rookie rushing record. I don't really see any way around it. Although I think we're going to go Colts playbook. What is this? I mean, first of all, hook 'em horns on whoever this Brian Frazier kid is. 341 attempts, and I can call him a kid, by the way, because I'm 24 in real life in 2022. This is 2031. So right now, Brian Frazier, who's been in the league, well, let's just see, he's 28 years old, and this is 10 years into the future. So he is 18 in real life at this point, even though he doesn't exist, and there's no point to even mention that. But yeah, I think he got more attempts. I want attempts. But Jonathan Taylor also had the best rushing season of all time. I think I might try out the Commanders playbook or whatever they have right now. It could have changed. Rushing touchdowns, technically George Talbot would be on this list, tied for 7th, right? Or 8th. But too many guys with 24 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 28 in a season. Okay. Commanders, multiple zone run. It's Tennessee. That's obviously why they're handing the ball off 340 times in a year. Because it's Derrick Henry's playbook. We're jumping in on offense. But Ty Johnson, I guess, is getting the carries out of gun. So we're going to have to go under center here in the playoffs against the Bears. And we'll see what George Talbot can do. He's got 99 speed. Oh, George Talbot. What is that move? Oh, and he's put the ball on the ground. Okay. Interesting start for George Talbot's playoff career. The rookie puts the ball on the turf after, I would say, improbably picking up close to the first down. Just took a shot from Barber there, and yeah. You know, much like Tiki Barber early on in his Giants career, our Barber, or their Barber causes a fumble. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying. All right, George, I need you to be a little bit better than that. He's got like 90-something stiff arm, right? Or close. I want to get him involved, but this other running back keeps coming in. This no-name. Let's get George back in. The third down running back is Ty Johnson. Despite not being a higher overall at third down back than George Talbot is. That will change for season 2, I can assure you. Let's try to pick up the first down. You guys know me, I love throwing the drag. And we'll run duo. Is that the same Johnson in at fullback? I don't know. But can't really find a ton of space. Now there's some blocks. Look at Plaxico Burress up there making a nice block. I don't know who it is. Number 17. Used to be Plaxico, and then he shot himself in the foot. Can we try a stiff arm or something? We might not even need to. Oh, here we go. I don't even think he threw out his arm. He's having a good game. 7 rushes for 52 yards. Of course, the fumble as well is unfortunate. But 7 rushes for 52 yards is pretty good. No complaints there. Running absolutely wild. As we're going to try and just continue to pound the rock. But it is tough to run the ball for huge gains in this game. I feel like it's easy to get a consistent 4+. But I struggle to get a whole ton more than that. As Talbot will get into the end zone, score his first touchdown of the video. 24 in the regular season. Oh, okay. Get down, George. We're on the board. Also, we have DK Metcalf. That's who 17 is. Kind of fitting. But our defense is not going to be able to stop the Bears. That much is obvious. So it doesn't really matter what we do, it seems, with George Talbot. It seems like it's not going to go all that well. But this is not the Giants series or rebuild. This is the George Talbot following the career of a generational running back. So as much as I'm a Giants fan in real life, I don't really care if the Giants win or not. I just care about George putting up unbelievable numbers as he's going to have speed to the outside. George Talbot, big stiff arm and a big first down. We'll call a timeout down to the 30. He has aggressive catch trait, right? He's also just faster. Throw it up to him, and George Talbot has a receiving touchdown. Ran the wheel out of the backfield, and turns out 99 speed can just fly by guys, especially a linebacker. A little bit of a wobbler from our quarterback, but George Talbot doesn't care. Just catches the football anyway, and makes this a ball game. No, we got blockers. I feel like they went away. I feel like we had great numbers to that side, and then suddenly, nothing. Third down and 7. Talbot gonna be bunch right. We're gonna throw it to him no matter what, and he's gonna go up and get it. He is the offense, which is cool. He's a really good player. B was wide open, but so was this. And it doesn't matter about this. Let's get back to George. Yeah, get him back in here. Hey, Georgie. There we go, George. Nice short. Literally, he's 5'10".
Actually, Bengal, 5'10" is actually above average for the male species in the United States. I don't know.
Talbot to the outside. Pretty good speed for him, down to the 14. We're going to go ISO. Talbot. He's got the aggressive catch trait. We're going to give him a chance. George Talbot, get in front of him, and no, the ball's ripped out. Coach can't believe it. I don't know who that is supposed to be. Some guy on the sideline wearing a jacket next to Brian Daboll. I thought George had it, man. I thought he had it. Snap the ball. We're not going to have time. Davenport, get up slower to the line. Please. Is that even possible? Can he go slower? There's a play clock. Get to the line. Talbot. He is stuffed at the line. Cut back. Yep, there it is. George Talbot into the end zone again. I will say, he does feel dominant, like you'd expect a generational running back to be. I think the real difference maker is the speed. Like, obviously, just because they're really, really good, they're not going to go out and break every single tackle, especially not, in Madden, right? But you can really feel the speed. So I'm excited we didn't get like a generational power back with 91 speed. You can actually feel like the game-changing ability on the field. 3rd and 11. We get that outside. There's Talbot. Oh, the truck. He actually might be short, though. No, they're going to give him the first down. He would be so fun to use in Giants franchise. Really wish we had a player like that. I mean, we have Saquon, but it just isn't the same. Love Saquon, but Talbot is just kind of on another level, despite not being able to make anything happen in the open field there. Another cutback. Oh, there's a juke. It made me do another one. I hit to the right once. Oh, Georgie, come on. Oh, we got blockers in space. Talbot just burn him to the outside. Oh, who's this? Number 9 is flying. Nash, whew, looking like the Flash. Just tracked down 99 speed. Honestly, this is like the Titans offense. Our quarterback throws 11 passes the entire game, and yet we're still in position to win because our running back is just a beast. 21-21. Our running back playing like a savage, so it's fitting. And I'd like to get it back in the game here. A touchdown would obviously give us the lead and probably win us the game, considering how we're playing the clock here. But I guess he has like 20 or so attempts. He's just absolutely gassed. Would love to get him back on the field because this running back's decent. That's a good broken tackle. But it's just not the same. 3rd and goal, can't quite get in because our superstar X-Factor generational running back has not been in the game. George Talbot has not had a carry here since you guys last saw, and a lot of time has passed. So we'll settle for the field goal, see what we can do. Kick is up and good. Bears will have 20 seconds or so to come back into this game. We're not going to be playing defense, though, so I would just say hope that doesn't happen, and it doesn't. Giants are moving on in the playoffs. George Talbot moving on despite giving up and not coming out for much of the 4th quarter. George Talbot, 22 attempts for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did fumble, broke a few tackles, but speed kills. Had 2 touchdowns. And you can see it's very different from our other running back. He was like 3 of 13, though, and then 7 of 14 finished. Just they kept stuffing him at the goal line. He also, where is he here? Had a catch or 2 or 4 for 64 yards and a touchdown. I don't know why I just scrolled past his name like 6 times. See if we can beat the Panthers here, and we do 28-20. I don't want to jump into the Super Bowl because, I mean, I assume we're going to make a few of those, but not this year. End up making the Pro Bowl. George Talbot did make the Pro Bowl roster as well. You know what? We haven't played a Pro Bowl in one of these videos yet, or I don't even think the entire year. So let's play a snap or two, just see what George Talbot looks like on the field. I haven't even seen the Pro Bowl jerseys, which hopefully they have in the game. Let's get George Talbot in. He's only a rookie. Only a rookie. Is a 98 overall. And there are a lot of Giants on that offensive line. See Andrew Thomas. Not sure who the left guard is. Probably a created player, but I don't see the name. It says Crawford. Yeah, I can't think of any left guard in the league that's any good named Crawford. Or just any left guard, period. I may be missing one. Where's George? I just subbed him in. Get Kenneth Walker out of here. He's old now. Pro Bowl uni's looking kind of nice. Let's see what George can do. Kind of telegraphing the run here. Didn't go all that well. Probably just should have tried and really run that to the outside, play the speed game, play the speed card, and just say, hey, nobody can catch us. It's George Talbot. He's got 99 speed. Didn't do that. Gonna try it this time. But you know what? Fairly similar result. Actually, no, that was better. More runs to Georgie. Little cutback. Good block on the outside. Oh, that's a nasty juke. That's one of the biggest jukes I've seen in Madden 23 so far. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how to recreate it, but it was disgusting. Check it out. He juked out like 2 players. Looked like an NCAA 14 juke. Oh, I want to see more of that. Up the middle. Let's do it again. Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty. Talbot. I guess I'm taking my finger off right trigger when I juke. Maybe that's the way to do it. George Talbot looking unbelievable. Also, I wonder if it being on All Pro compared to All Madden changes things. You wouldn't expect that the difficulty would change if the juke is actually like big or not, but maybe it does. I don't know. We are also in the zone with Talbot. What is his zone ability? Wrecking ball. So just we just break the first tackle. It's kind of fun. Really effective there. That's gonna be a touchdown, right? No, just go through him. Up the middle. Talbot, power, and stop short of the goal line. Is there any pitch out of this? I don't think so. We might just be able to run outside, though. Better to go right or left here. Can I bring this tight end in motion? I can't. We'll just run. Cut back, up the middle, and touchdown. I think that'll do it for the Pro Bowl. George Talbot dominating. He's really, 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 really good. That's the review. Also, I just got an achievement for playing in the Pro Bowl for the first time during a franchise season. So, wow, very cool. Let's get on to the next season and see how the career of George Talbot goes. He's up to a 99 overall probably by the start of his second season, right? Or very close to it. We saw 98 in the depth chart. Morale playing a factor, so I'm not sure if that's going to be the case going forward, but we'll see. It's going to be very close to a 99, maybe 97, 96 overall, something like that. Actually, slightly lower overall than I thought, only a 95 overall going into his second season at age 22. The numbers do look incredible, though. Yeah, he is a beast. We know that much. So as you can see from the standings, there wasn't a season. Nothing in there. Let's see. So, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from the stats on that far right. Not at all. Rushing. George Talbot only had 268 attempts for 1,299 yards, 16 touchdowns. No fumbles, though. Like to see that. But just a little bit disappointing compared to what I expected out of him this year. It just seems like he didn't get the touches. Was pretty effective when he got the football, 4.8 per carry, but just not enough touches overall. Maybe I forgot to change the scheme. Could be it. Went 8-9, by the way. 8-9. So Talbot is a true 99 overall now at just 23 years of age, which is pretty impressive, I would say. 97 change of direction, 95 juke move. Trucking is coming along. It's not all the way there yet. Maybe first one free. We not have that. The freight train is a thing. That's interesting. So I changed to multiple zone run, which should increase the carries by about 1 billion for George Talbot. And we'll see how 2033 goes, his third season. We saw the attributes. He's looking really, really good. It's time to actually see the production. And he had 24 touchdowns as a rookie, but took a bit of a step back overall in year 2. We're going to get the touches up, we're going to get the production up, and we're going to create a Hall of Fame career for George Talbot. 5-12. Our offense rushing yards per game was 8th. Who's won? That's who I want to emulate. George Talbot had 287 carries for about 1,400 yards. He loves that 4.8 per carry number, 13 rushing touchdowns. It's not a bad year. It just isn't overly impressive. 283 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. And this dude, Eddie Bryant, same draft class, led the league in rushing yards. How do we get that? George Talbot, 99 elusive back, 24 years old. Still have a bit to go on the power element to his game, but not really. He's got 94 break tackle, 94 stiff arm. Trucking, I'd like to get into the 90s. Ball carrier vision, I think once that goes into the 90s, we're going to see a different type of runner unlocked. I think George Talbot is going to be phenomenal. It's like when you keep in mind that he is only 24 years old, just because he hasn't had unbelievable seasons apart from the 24 touchdown number, there's still a long way to go. He still could end up being, the best running back of all time. And in fact, I think it will happen. Just got to find that right playbook. 9-8, just can't get back to the playoffs. And we can't lead the league in rushing yards. Dan Davenport thinks he's hot stuff. It's not your show. George Talbot is averaging 5.5 yards per carry. It isn't getting the ball 300 times. Titans are furious. They don't understand. Your running back isn't getting 400 touches a year? Do you even know how to offense? 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns. As a receiver, where is he here? George Talbot, 522 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. He's just an all-around back. He doesn't have to do anything special. Or he goes for nearly 2,000 yards, despite not having 2,000 rushing yards. No one in this league is putting up unbelievable rushing yardage numbers. Talbot is top 3 in the league. It's just not, close to 2,000 yards. It's still a great season, but he's not quite dominating yet. West Coast spread, Indianapolis. Had to go into my Cowboys rebuild to get that, but West Coast spread, Indianapolis, and hopefully George Talbot will run like Jonathan Taylor. Oh no. I've had everything on auto, and you'll notice that there is a missing piece to what's going on here. I think George Talbot has signed a contract to play elsewhere. Oh my goodness. George Talbot, at 25 years old, has signed a contract to become a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's got 95 break tackle, trucking into the 90s. George Talbot, the man of steel. I won't touch anything for the first season. Highest rated player in the league, by the way, and only 25 years old. That is the definition of generational. We're going to go ahead and see how he performs his first year in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to change teams or anything. We'll just see what happens and see if the Steelers and George Talbot can make the playoffs. 7-10 go the Giants, but I just remembered that's not important. It's not about the Giants. It's about the Steelers, and I swear I saw George Talbot in the top 3 for rushing yards. Survey says number 2, 259 attempts at 1,300 rushing yards on 5 per carry, 14 touchdowns. But he's not putting up the numbers that I want. 268 receiving yards and a touchdown. They're good numbers, but we're just not really seeing any running back dominate. The Steelers did make the playoffs, though. We'll see how they perform in the wild card, jumping over with them, and it's a playoff victory. The way you change teams, by the way, is go retire and then create new character. If you didn't know, I get that question sometimes. And another playoff win, and it is another conference championship appearance for George Talbot and the boys. We've seen him play in the NFC Championship, and that was a loss. Ended up playing in the Pro Bowl. Does he make it to his first Super Bowl here with the Steelers? Year 1. Success, but couldn't make it all the way. Another championship loss for George Talbot. Lamar Jackson's with the Steelers now? Okay, I mean, I guess he is 38 years old at this point. Still with 96 speed. I think that would go down a little bit as you get into your late 30s. Oh, Jabbar Gaffney? Jonathan Gaffney. Jabbar Gaffney at one point, I guess obviously at one point, but for a long time had more receiving yards than Julian Edelman when people were calling for Julian Edelman to be a Hall of Famer. See if that talk continues. No reason to bring that up other than just to ruffle some feathers. Look, he's got playoff yards. George Talbot has had above 13 rushing touchdowns, or 13 or more, I should say, every single year of his career. He signed a contract to come over to Pittsburgh, 7 years. And it really, I mean, it is expensive. I misread, but it's $13 million here in year 1. Cap hit gets as high as 15.5 in 2040. He'll be with the Steelers for a really, really long time. And as you can see, $43 million roughly in total salary, $44 million in bonus. The bonus is more than the salary is. Awards, he's a 5-time Pro Bowler already. Won Offensive Player of the Year in 2034 and Best Running Back. And of course was Rookie of the Year. It's not really a shock. 15-2 for the Steelers in 2036. And George Talbot finally put up one of those seasons we've been looking for. Lamar, pretty good, 38 touchdowns. But George Talbot, about 6 yards per carry on 314 attempts, 1,857 yards, 17 touchdowns, averaging nearly 110 per game. Didn't fumble on 53 broken tackles. A 69-yard rush was his longest. Nice. 26 years old, 99 power back, 99 elusive back. And I think there's a world where he gets to 99 overall everything before he gets to age of regression, which is like 28, 29. Like, obviously not strength, but stiff arm I think will be 99. Trucking I could see getting up there. The only problem you run into is when he's a 99 overall already. The CPU doesn't really allow you to upgrade them at that point. It caps out what they can possibly be. So if they cap him out, trucking will never be able to go into, 95 plus territory. Break tackle is going to be locked where it is. It just kind of depends. Talbot also added 568 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns to his numbers. Really, really good stuff. I would be shocked if he did not put up a really good fight for Offensive Player of the Year this year. Let's see what it's looking like right now. AFC Offensive Player of the Year, Jamie Anderson of the Niners. Where is... Oh, and I thought it was an AFC. George Talbot is second. Trent Ward, number 1. Another conference championship where George Talbot, can he finally make the Super Bowl? I say finally, he's only 26 years old. But yes, he's made it to the Super Bowl. Let's see if he has an upgrade. I'm curious to see whether we can actually upgrade him. He's not listed in there, but he would have a skill point. Just wouldn't be spent. So I guess he is still getting upgraded. Let's see if he can win the Super Bowl. All right, here we go. That is a bad start to the playoff career of George Talbot in the video. Keep in mind, he has played before. There was a divisional, there was a conference championship. We are here in the Super Bowl, and we'll see if we can get it going. I'm looking for space. Kind of an interesting cutback for Talbot. 1st and 10, let's see what Talbot can do from the 40. There we go, we got a block as well. Talbot stopped a little bit. Otherwise, it would have been a huge gain. Maybe a hard cut there would have helped out significantly. I really just thought we were going to get a block. I could also see quick pitch being really effective just because of the 99 speed. It's usually terrible, and it's going to continue to be. Let's go ahead and jump forward quite a bit. It is 7-3 Steelers. Some more points being scored. Very close game now into the second half. 24-13 Steelers with the advantage. Saints not giving up yet. Touchdown game. Saints can't do it. It's 34-24. That is your final. George Talbot wins the Super Bowl here with the Steelers. The Steelers get their 7th ring. George Talbot gets his 1st. There he is. Got George Talbot for a second. George Talbot isn't up there on the main stage. It's just Lamar Jackson looking deeply into the Lombardi Trophy, and George Talbot is getting no love. 21 rushes for 94 yards, broke a few tackles in there as well. But the team goal was realized. Lamar Jackson, I think, probably retired. Talbot is 27 years old now, getting near that age of regression. But we're not really seeing any major changes. Maybe carrying is up 1 to a 98. Kind of tough to tell. We need a big year. I'm really hoping he goes over 2,000 yards. We've seen Derrick Henry do it. We've seen Jonathan Taylor do it. Maybe not in this rebuild. I haven't seen Henry do it, but we've seen it in real life, and I think in a lot of Madden rebuilds as well. Talbot just cannot push over that line. And here, deep into the 2030s, we're not really seeing anybody even come close to 2,000 yards. So I don't know what's going on. Sneaking into the playoffs, but did win the division at 9-8. How did George Talbot do? 17th best offense. Our quarterback seemed like he had a pretty good year in terms of touchdowns, at least. Interceptions a bit high. And Talbot is kind of back down a little bit. Only 8 rushing touchdowns to go with 1,400 yards. 5.3 per carry. Like, the average is not bad at all. And what are these numbers? Cedric Woodyard. He's a pretty high overall. Not really doing too much per attempt. 4.9 is good, but it's not, you know, like the 6 that we saw from Talbot a year ago. But it's just getting 363 attempts. Carolina playbook they're rocking. I'm going to stick in Indianapolis for the time being. I don't know. I want to see some more production. Back in the conference championship. Kind of on a Cinderella run here. I guess not even a wild card team, but doing really, really well for a team that won fewer than 10 games, especially with the extra game in today's NFL. And we make it to the Super Bowl. It'll be the 9-8 Steelers against the 9-8 Atlanta Falcons. Falcons still looking for their first Super Bowl. Steelers looking for their 8th. Very, very, very different. And as you can see, it looks like Talbot, it looks like he's locked and not being able to gain upgrades. I don't know. And we're also doing this with a 70 overall quarterback. Only normal development. I guess Talbot kind of put the team on the back here. He's not even a 70 overall. He's a 68 in his 5th year or 6th year out of South Dakota State. He's really bad, but you don't have to be good to turn around and hand the ball off. But I guess he did throw for 40 touchdowns. I don't really understand that. We'll see what can happen here. Does Talbot win it all again? Survey says nope. Steelers lose to the Falcons 35-30. As you can see, Cedric Woodyard was the Offensive Player of the Year. No representation for George Talbot anywhere. 28 years old now, and I think the XP scale went from like 14,000 to 21,000 or something. I wonder if that's because he turned 28 years old. He really likes being here, though, for the most part. Likes historic championships. Doesn't get better than the Steelers at this point, with 7 of them. Well, maybe even more, factoring in potential. But at least we've seen 1 when George Talbot has been here. Steelers, of course, with 6 in real life. Still looks really, really good, but the attributes for the most part are unchanged. And I can tell you it's probably because receiving back is being upgraded, so catching and stuff and route running is going up, but we're not seeing actually any of the running back attributes, the typical ones, being changed at all. I think he's locked. We could maybe move to fullback and upgrade him that way, and maybe we could get trucking +1 or something, but I don't really think it would make that much of a difference. As we'll simulate 2038 and hope for a 2,000-yard season. I really wanted George Talbot to be the best running back of all time. He's been very good. We're just not seeing best of all time stuff right now. Another playoff berth for the Steelers here in 2038. Bengals win the division, though, and George Talbot is putting up numbers. We were good to stay in this playbook. Joe Larkin, 36 touchdowns is too many, but check this out. 299 attempts for 1,831 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and 20 touchdowns. That's what I wanted to see from George Talbot. I wanted to see a dominant performance, and we're seeing it. Great numbers. The second most rushing yards of his career in a season, and the second most touchdowns as well. 20 touchdowns for the first time since his rookie season. Great numbers. I think that's, the second time going over 100 yards per game as well. Most broken tackles of his career with 67. I think pound for pound, that's his best season. Has to be, right? He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, has finally led the league in rushing yards. 2-time best running back, is going to win best running back again, and maybe will win Offensive Player of the Year here. Still has a long time to go with this Steelers contract. He'll play into his 30s, but a very good year nonetheless. And we'll see if the Steelers team can again compete for a Super Bowl. Nope, out early, losing in the wild card. 2038 season recap has no Steelers. Get robbed of Offensive Player of the Year. Robbed. I don't even need to see the other numbers. Currently on the legacy leaderboard for running back, we can see where is our guy here. George Talbot, very close to the top 10. Current season. I don't know how that ranks it. Is it just like that how many points he got this season compared to the final season for some of these players? I'm not really sure how that works, but legacy score is approaching the top 10 for running backs. He's going to have to turn it on a little bit, though. Like, he's been really good, but hasn't been really great. Maybe that's a little bit unfair, but I feel like it's true. We check out rushing yards. He hasn't eclipsed that 2,000-yard number, which is very tough to do, but in Madden, it's a little bit easier. You can see Jonathan Taylor with that 2,100-plus yard season that we saw. Just need Talbot to be in that same neighborhood as well. Has had some big touchdown seasons too, but I'm looking for unbelievable, and I'm just getting really good. Talbot at about 12,000 rushing yards for his career, 130 or so touchdowns. Those numbers will be, and 99 yards per game for his career, by the way, is fantastic. So he's approaching some of these career milestones, just not quite there yet. Maybe a season or 2 away on some of these, with touchdowns maybe being 3 or 4 away. So let's go ahead and jump into the future, and I think maybe check in with him closer to the end of this Steelers contract, maybe 2040, 2041. The Steelers have been producing well, but you wonder if he's going to stay here as a 32, 33-year-old running back at the end of this contract. Certainly something to think about. 2041, George Talbot is 31. We'll check out what happened in the past few years. I guess I didn't really talk about him being from LSU, but we have seen some numbers go up a little bit. Break tackle at 95, agility 92, carrying is at that flat 99, ball carrier vision 95, trucking 94, stiff arm 95, juke 95, spin move has roughly stayed the same at 90, same with change of direction at 97. Very, very, very good player, as you can see, but it seems like he's probably going to stick around. He has 99 injury as well. Is the number 2 ranked halfback in the league. I disagree with that. He's number 1. And his past couple seasons have been quite good. It needs more attempts. How do you have a 6.5 yard per carry and he doesn't get even close to 300 carries? Seems ridiculous. 19 touchdowns, over 1,600 yards in this next season in 2040. 1,467 yards rushing, 5.4 per carry, 16 touchdowns as a receiver. Has been quite good overall. Keeps finding the end zone. I mean, when you look at these receiving touchdowns over time, I'm not going to add it up here, but it's got to be probably close to 40 career stats. So we can see he's at very close to 15,000 rushing yards, 163 rushing touchdowns. He's only fumbled 6 times in his career. As a receiver, Talbot has 29 touchdowns, so closer to 30 than 40, and over 3,000 yards receiving. Really, really good numbers. Just an all-around beast. Into his early 30s, is not into the top 10 for rushing yards just yet, but probably will be after this next season. And for rushing touchdowns, still not quite there yet either. Chasing Jonathan Taylor, who is up to 234 for his career. And this is the final year under contract for George Talbot. We'll see what he does here in Pittsburgh. Probably will re-sign if I had to bet, but it's not a given. Back in the playoffs, how did Talbot do? Led the league in rushing yards by a considerable margin as well. So we like to see that. 1,854 yards, 6.6 per carry, averaged 109 per game, had 19 touchdowns. As a receiver, added 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thought we were looking at Jason Street, Texas forever, Texas Tech here. And I don't know if you guys have seen Friday Night Lights. I'm rewatching it. It's been a while. Not like grinding through it or anything, but just kind of like, every so often when I have time, maybe I'm recording and it's on in the background as we got crushed in the playoffs, 31-0. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we'll go to the next season and see if Talbot is still in Pittsburgh or if he signed elsewhere. 2042, is George Talbot still in Pittsburgh? I think he will be, and he is, but he is regressing for the first time down to a 96 overall after coming off a huge season. But as you can see, agility down 3, speed -4, juke -6, injuries down, change of directions down, carrying down, break tackle awareness, acceleration, carrying again. Okay, and break tackle again also. They hit it once and they're like, nah, that's not good enough. Again. Still looking really good, but it's just obvious that it's probably all downhill from here, even though this is one of the best seasons, if not the best season of his career. These are fantastic numbers. 11-6 for the Steelers here. And George Talbot again leads the league in rushing yards. However, the number comes down quite a bit. Still averaging well over 5 per carry, 14 touchdowns, nearly 1,600 yards. But again, the number overall did come down quite significantly. Career stats, he is up to over 18,000 rushing yards and so close to 200 career rushing touchdowns. I wish we could have playoff stats in here somewhere as well. That'd be kind of cool. But as far as I know, it's not an option. And out of the playoffs early. Let's go ahead and see the contract that George Talbot signed. We'll see how long he's going to be locked in here in Pittsburgh. Is playing up to a 99 overall, but I imagine the speed, that's a 96. It's still pretty good. But we'll see here. So his stats are going to be fantastic. Or stats and awards, right? So 12-time Pro Bowler, Offensive Player of the Week a few times this week, has led the league in rushing yards 5 times now, has won Best Running Back in 2040, 2038, 2034, 2036, 2039. How those are sorted, I have no idea, but he's a 12-time Pro Bowler. I think that's got to be the running back record. So the overall record is now Tom Brady. It used to be a bunch-way tie, and players I could have named: Tony Gonzalez, Peyton Manning, Bruce Matthews, Merlin Olsen. I think the only one I would have struggled to get out of that is Bruce Matthews. I probably just wouldn't have named him. Drew Brees, Jerry Rice, Reggie White all have 13, and then there are a bunch of players at 12. Randall McDaniel, Will Shields, Junior Seau, Jim Otto, Ray Lewis, and Ken Houston, and Champ Bailey, my second favorite player of all time. So George Talbot has tied that group of guys with 12, but as you heard, there are no running backs in that group. The highest running back in here, or most Pro Bowls for a running back, also Matthew Slater is a 10-time Pro Bowler. I know he's a special teamer, with the Patriots, but 10 times is so crazy. Barry Sanders has 10. You just don't see running backs play at an elite level for that long. It's so tough at that position. But George Talbot has done it. 32 years old, is a 12-time Pro Bowler. Nuts. I forgot to check his contract, though. And I think there is a chance that he breaks the record for total Pro Bowls. Brady has 15, maybe a little bit more in this franchise. Has 3 years left on his contract. Is signed through 2030 or 2045. It's possible. Although it is tough seeing the decline. 94 overall. Still really good, obviously, for George Talbot. Award winner tag still. But he just keeps regressing. And it's not going to stop, obviously. We know that. Played and seen enough Madden to know that he's just not going to just jump to a 99 overall again. Those days are behind him. But he can still be really productive. And hopefully we see 1,500 plus yards. Maybe even close to 2,000 if we get lucky. Oh no, one last hurrah. Is that going to be for George Talbot? He's still in the 90s. Nope, Tom Davidson. Don't care. Tom. 2043, George Talbot. Let's see where you are. Doug Hancock putting together quite a year. Talbot's still good, but obviously a huge regression here. 4.9 yards per carry is great. 12 touchdowns, 1,400 yards. Just not the same player that he used to be. Career stats, we can see that he is nearing 20,000 career rushing yards, is over 200 rushing touchdowns. And receiving, well, I don't know. These are pretty good numbers. Over 4,000 yards, closing in on 40 touchdowns. May get that next season, may not. He is second all-time in career rushing yards, but still down a lot to Jonathan Taylor. A lot of ground to make up. Second all-time in rushing touchdowns as well, but still, Jonathan Taylor has quite a lengthy lead. And another playoff loss for the Steelers team. We are out in the wild card to the Brownies. They win 31-29. 2044 now. We are coming up to the tail end of the career of George Talbot. He still should be ranked as one of the higher rated players on this team. Would imagine he's still in the 90s, but probably just grasping onto maybe a 91, 92 overall. Talbot is a 91 overall. 34 years old, though. Matching the jersey number. Break tackle below 90. Carrying has dunked down quite a bit. The speed and acceleration are still really good. Trucking is still crazy high. That really hasn't taken much of a hit at all, but juke and spin move are down considerably. Those are chasing 80, and they're gaining ground quickly. Again, a huge regression overall, which really stinks to see. Abilities are still there, though, and dev trait regression is on, so he could go down to superstar. It just hasn't happened yet. Missed the playoffs going 8-9, and I do not see Talbot. There is nobody over 1,400 yards. There really aren't anybody. There's nobody playing that well. Talbot, another big step down in terms of production. First season, I believe, of his career where he rushed for fewer than 10 touchdowns, only 1,200 rushing yards, which is still good, but it isn't amazing. And he's going to regress significantly after this year. Although NFL records for a career, Talbot 2 seasons away from passing Jonathan Taylor. Maybe in both of those numbers, but I don't even know if we're going to see 2 seasons. It's going to be really close. For all-time running back legacy score, George Talbot is number 2 behind, yes, obviously, Jonathan Taylor. Now the Hall of Famer. See team salaries, though. Talbot did sign an extension, so he has 2 years remaining. He'll be under contract until 2046, I believe is what that's saying, since the season's already over. So, yes, through 2046. Still making quite a bit of money. He's made a ton for his career, but I don't know. He could retire before the end of that. Does he play his age 36 season? He's trying to chase down Jonathan Taylor, so he should, but whether or not we see that remains to be seen. Steelers missed the playoffs again, but the question is, how did George Talbot bounce back? It seems like he didn't. Oh no. He's not even on the Steelers anymore. Did he retire? Did George Talbot retire? He did. Finishes with the second highest running back legacy score of all time and is in the top 10 for all-time legacy score. But second highest, that's pretty good. For his career rushing yards, did not end up passing Jonathan Taylor, but did eclipse well over 20,000, which is incredible. I mean, Emmitt Smith has the real-life rushing record, and it's obviously not even that close to 20,000, but 21,000. It is close, but it's also not. I mean, the extra 2,000 yards when you're like 38 are probably tough to get. I mean, Emmitt Smith was playing with the Cardinals to get that rushing record. He may have already had it before that with Dallas, because he only had 256 yards his first year with the Cardinals in 5 starts, and then pretty much started the whole season in 2004 as a 35-year-old, had 937 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns. But yeah, Talbot goes over 21K for rushing touchdowns, 217. It was just too tough to catch up to Jonathan Taylor, but he made a lot of money and played very, very well. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed following the career of a generational running back. It's going to be tougher to find QB, tight end. Not going to do one for any offensive lineman, but we will do one for defensive end, linebacker, corner, and safety. Will be tougher for corner and safety to produce, and it's going to be tougher to find defensive end and linebacker because the generational players at those positions are very, very unlikely to be in the 80-plus range. So it's going to take a while to find them. They have to be guaranteed superstar X factor, so we have to check, and hopefully we find somebody who exceeds the range of the usual attributes. That is what qualifies a generational player. So I'm excited for those videos. Subscribe if you're interested in checking those out, but a ton of other content on the channel as well. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.